Hi, you're listening to The Roar. This is Dimensions with D. I'm your host, D'Angelo, and today I'll be going into part two of what I talked about last week, and that's mental health, especially when it comes to men's mental health. So, a time when burnout hit harder than expected is two times that comes to mind. One time is what I kind of talked about at the end of last episode, so I'll talk about the second time. Um, I'll say I've been I feel like I would say on autopilot ever since September of this year. So ever since then, I kind of just been, I guess, on reserve. It's really been hard to just do the simplest things, especially like get out of bed, but especially do things like do schoolwork, write all these papers that I have to write, and come to class and try to be active, participate. It's really hard to do those things, and I guess burnout is a big cause of that. I guess I feel like I guess things that happen that made burnout that much difficult to it made the burnout effect that much difficult for me. I would say the create some creative outlets that help me process some of my emotions are writing and doing the show. Even though I get in terms of the show, even though I just started, it's I'll say it's been really kind of soothing just to talk. Uh, I guess talk things out, and then I know when I had my I guess 2 episodes ago come on, it was really just I really enjoyed getting to know him more as a person, and so because I would say he's one of the best, like he's one of the few people I've met this semester. So it was really I really like getting to know a little bit more about him through the show. And then for just writing, um, I started my creative writing this past summer, and so I've written at least over 50 stories. But I stopped when as I mentioned before, burnout happened around early September. So things happen on this campus to me that caused me to stop. I guess be even less motivated to do things like that. So I'm thinking of maybe starting back when we get on winter break when the semester finally ends. I would say a moment where I recognize the difference between distraction and healing. So I would say healing when it comes to a physical person is anytime I meet with my counselor here on campus because I would say he's the only physical person that I would say I trust with just about anything that I can trust about just about anything. I feel like I can tell him anything, and I feel like I can just be myself. I don't have to really be playing a character really. So, and then a non physical person, I would say is God, because since I believe in God and I believe God is everywhere, and so and I talk with God out loud, and so it's nice to just know that He's someone that I can just talk to whenever I want something. But I will preface that um, that I only kind of do it when I know I'm alone or when I'm alone in general. And so when it comes to this whole idea of distraction, um, I would say it's really when I'm in certain social settings. Cause I would say I used to kind of mind. The first one was when I went to a Halloween party that was near the date of Halloween. I think it was the next day. Um, it was a Greek party, a Greek Halloween party, and so only I would say 3 people recognized me, but the majority of the other people who were there didn't. And so it was easy to be more of myself and not be playing some character. But because I will say there were some people who I did recognize who were at the party, but they were too into the party to recognize me or say anything to me. So So that was a good thing. So and so and then the other one was I've been working out with a group from Tar Catholic. Well, I guess more or less that's well I was working out with them because they haven't been doing it much now, but it was really it was really a thing at the start near the start of the semester. Those first few months, and so those were fun because then afterwards some of the times we went out to eat afterwards. So I really enjoyed those moments too, cause just getting to know more people. I would say because I don't really know none of them because I was still kind of new to the whole the whole entire Catholic group, and so I would say those moments. Uh, I would say they qualify distraction because they distracted me from how terrible my life is currently, and so, but I like, but something I thought kind of just thought of that is, I would equate distraction to a drug because like it's kind of like a high you get from a drug. I mean, it's like because it's temporary, like the happiness or like the peace you feel from being in those groups or that party was only temporary because it's not permanent. So it was nice to be. It was nice to have that, if even if for a little bit in those moments. Uh, what being strong actually looks like for me now is, as I was talking about, as I said before, it's just those characters where I feel like where I hide, um, where where I hide what I'm feeling towards majority. I would say 97% of well, actually, I say 98% of people on campus, not just campus, but it's a general life, but it's majority on campus because I see majority people on campus, and so that's majority of what I'm around. So I have the most characters on campus, and so but but honestly I would say I'm not strong at all. It's just but I feel like to other people I may come off as strong, just how I carry myself or how I uh, perceive to be. I guess I would say, and it goes into my next point of something that I use to hide behind a joke or the smile is the whole character thing again. So it kind of goes with that point as well. A time I realized I need to slow down and reach out was again September 2021 when I attempted to end my life. I realized that a girl shouldn't cause me to not want to be here anymore in my life, and so I realized that the counseling services. Well, no, I remember hearing the counseling services here on campus were free, so I decided to reach out. It sets something up, and then because I even remember like my first intake session I had at work, and I'm not sure the person still works here anymore, but I remember that whole meeting, like that whole meeting, and so I say all that to say that I used to think mental health was more about fixing something that was broken with me, but now I'm coming to see mental health as a learning tool to know how to carry things better without pretending that they're light. Even though, because I will say like to preface that like even I don't do that 100%, but I would say I'm also in the learning stages of doing that. It's just knowing that every situation is different, and so every reaction to the situation will be different as well. And so I feel like a lot of guys here on campus, especially my age range, still feel like they can't say that they're struggling, especially around women here. Because I would say some or majority of us grew up hearing things like "toughen up," uh, "stop being a girl, you'll be fine," "stop crying like a French little girl," or don't overthink it. we hear that so much that we as men forget that silence doesn't make pain disappear. It just actually makes it heavier to bear. Which goes into my next point is that I feel like we as men are expected to be so ambitious, confident, so especially social. I guess social when it comes to me. That's something that I kept hearing growing up, and especially successful. All the while we're trying to figure out who we are as a person, which I would say is a lot for any man to bear. And so to speak on, I think another thing I want to talk through was the whole idea of being a so-called strong friend. And so I would say I never really had friends growing up because before I came to Memphis, I did pre-K and a little bit of kindergarten, and so I know I wasn't really thinking about having friends then, and then when I came to Memphis, I finished kindergarten. I did first grade, second grade, and I think the thing with that was like I guess I got so caught up in like seeing them like every day, every week, and so like I feel like it was just natural. Like I wasn't really thinking about the whole friends thing. It's just because like now because like me currently I would classify them as I was just classmates, but it was definitely something. It was definitely interesting to think about then. Because I think to support that to support like I guess my thought process then was um there was a girl who was in my class first grade and second grade uh that I had realized that when I started third grade that I realized that I uh, really liked her because we were in the same class first year second grade, and then we were always partners in the library. Like we always sat at the same table, and so I think what happened was like I thought we were always well. I guess it's funny. Even though I knew I was going to a different school, I always I don't know. I thought I would always see her, and maybe part of it was the fact that we were in two grades together, but I guess I had in my mind that I always see her, and then when I didn't, and then when I for when I, well, and then when I consistently was seeing her, it made me realize how much I liked her, and then and and like made me want to see her again, which which I know what is practically well pretty much impossible at this point, but I think it goes back to like how I got too comfortable and complacent, and like, and I guess honestly I wasn't really thinking about like friends at the time because again I would see them like every day, every week, every month, and so that was something I just got comfortable in, and then and so third grade all the way to 12th grade in high school I did homeschool, and so I was around no one my own age during that time. The only time was high school graduation. Well, I did. Yeah, I went to graduation, which was in Nashville, and honestly, I don't remember talking to like anyone because I remember like going because I remember it was in Nashville, but that whole like part was like a blur, honestly. And then but I do remember high school graduation because I had to go to Bristol, and so I remember talking to a few people because it was really interesting because I feel like that's where most of us met each other for the first time. Yeah, most of us, and then yeah, because I remember I feel like I was the one person who had all these medals from the classes when they would give out awards, or because they would have awards for people in the class, and then they would mail them out to people. And so I won them at graduation. I had like, I think it was in total 8, and so I wore them across stage. It was funny when hear them, it was like when they called my name, I had to walk on stage, and then walking across the stage, you hear it clap. You hear them like clapping against each other, and I had to hold them with my hands so it wouldn't be so loud. It was. I remember one of my past instructors. She told me that, like, it was funny seeing me do that, but yeah, I would say though, like, for a quick tangent, it's really interesting to see how, like, what all they're doing like now, because they're obviously living better lives than me, obviously, but it's always just interesting. Like, hey, it's like, hey, I remember being in their like class, well, cohort, whatever you want to call it, but yeah, it's like, because I think in graduation it was like at least 5, and then I remember I talked to at least 5 people, and then I remember because I was in the band club, and so we all took a picture. Well, we all took a group picture, which I still have. So it's actually nice to kind of like look back on it. It's and then also I think at least one. I think it may have been 2 total, but I know at least two or 3 total. But I know at least one person came from Memphis to high school high school graduation. Uh, yeah, I remember. I can't remember if we talked in class. We probably did, but I remember we talked a little bit at the end of high school graduation because she ended up going to, well, here, University of Memphis college, and so that's kind of like a connection, I guess. And so a connection, and so one, yeah, a connection, I would say, and that's kind of a whole story. So then if I have time, I'll kind of talk more into it at the end. But like, I guess, but to summarize that point too is I I didn't really I wasn't really like, that was the only time I like talked to the people that I was in like, the classes with. So I can't say like they were my friends either. So yeah, and so that made coming to college and being social really really difficult. And so there have been some people who I would say who I would put in like the almost friends. So I'll put them like as associates. And so something I realized is that I came to realize was that I always was doing the initiating or reaching out to people. No one really did it to me. And it made me realize that I'm not really high on people's priority lists. So it's hard to like know if I'm actually their friend or not. Or it's just like I'm being like used, I guess I would say. Because that was something I realized about my cohort that I was in. The program I was in like specifically freshman year, is that because it was like stress that it was this whole I think we're like community thing. We're like we're gonna be friends stuff this entire program, but we all they all fell out that first semester. It completely at the end of that, completely at the end of the second semester, which is spring, so that full year. But because Loki, I thought they were all everyone in my cohort were my friends. Because I guess I was just so naive and just wanted to be accepted, and so I thought that, but which goes into the how. But I guess I'll explain it as I go. But it wasn't until I found out that they were talking talking about me in a negative way, slash it was in the same realm of like spreading rumors about me, and so I felt really betrayed, and then because I remember one of the upperclassmen had reached out and told me what was going on, and I just felt so betrayed. And then that made me have my first panic attack. It was really bad too, and it was that was definitely an experience. And then some more stuff happened with them that I think I mentioned at the end of last week's episode too, which goes to how I talked about as I brought up me attempting to end my life, and so that whole thing was just something I wouldn't put my worst enemy through, and so I say all that to say that attempting to be like a quote unquote strong friend may feel good until you realize that no one ever asks you if you're okay, because in all actuality they don't really care. They don't actually really care about you as a person. They more or less care about what you can do for them. And so you yourself have to start believing that being reliable means me. I'm sorry. You when when that started to happen, you start to believe that being reliable means being silent. And so I feel like because that's definitely happened to me a few times, but I feel like in general you have to if that is happening you have to realize that really quickly so you can kind of pivot and try to improve, which is kind of a double edged sword because in reality I don't think you should have to improve, but this is life and you have to really be social with people. I guess connected with people. So it's I guess in the end, overall you have to change, even if you don't want to. So, yeah. And so something I've come to oversee or realize as well is that we as men, especially in college, need more spaces to talk, and not always to hear about solutions to our problems. It's just we want to be able to feel seen, and not just with other men, but with women as well. Because sometimes what we need isn't advice; it's permission to stop pretending and just have someone to listen to, have someone to listen to us. Because I think that can be really good for us in the long run. And so to wrap up wrap up this week's episode, I guess I'll talk little bit more about faith. Um, I would say faith taught me how to be more resilient and be honest with myself. Because I think both matter when we're talking about trying to improve how we are, especially as we get older. Because I would say, um, because I would say for me, talking with God, especially as my relationship with Him has grown since September freshman year 2021. It definitely goes with the whole resilient and honesty part because besides my counselor who's the physical person, the non-physical person, God is the only person I can be completely honest with and just be myself and not. Well, I know I definitely don't have to be no character around God because He can see everything, know everything. So yeah, I don't have to worry about that at all. And being resilient, well, He definitely got me past my lowest point freshman year. So I'm just praying I get through this point as well because it's definitely been really difficult and borderline. Almost like I was, yeah, because I've been comparing this, especially for me, like the first semester of freshman year. It's been that difficult. So I'm just praying that God gets me past that point as well because I really need it. And so that concludes this week's episode on mental health. I would say this has been really really insightful. Just talk through my experience. Um, Hopefully, some of the things I talked about, not just this week but last week as well, has I guess I would say made you think, or or if it has affected you in some way. Because I know for me, I definitely didn't have nothing like this or anything mental health wise growing up. It wasn't until I got to college and was at my lowest point that I started to learn more and be more active in mental health space. So if you're ever I'll leave off with this. If if you're feeling down or at your lowest point or feel like there's no one to talk to, um, try really hard to reach out to someone. It doesn't have to be me, your friends, your family, your people that you go to school with, teachers, instructors, faculty members. It doesn't have to be any of those people, but try to find at least one person to talk to. And it doesn't have to be like someone that can go back and forth with you. It just has to be someone, because like it could even be your dog or your cat or any other pet you may have. It could be stuffed animal, or or something else is you could like write out like journal. Because I know some people do journals and diaries. I think that can definitely help too.